Hey, yo, what's the deal? Miss your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag, you know what I mean? As of this recording, it is 11:31 p.m., June 28th, 2026. You know what I mean? This is definitely the first video of the day. I'm going to definitely do another one later tonight. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm on my way to Popeyes. You know what I mean? I don't feel like cooking. I'm not going to cook. You know what I'm saying? It seems nice. I want to play some ball. I definitely want to play some ball. There's a lot of wrestling going on today. A whole fucking lot. Now, I mean, we got NXT's Great American Bash happening today. I think at 1 p.m. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what time it is. Yeah, okay, I remember. It's 7 o'clock. So that show's happening at 7 o'clock. Then TNA Slammiversary is happening. You know what I mean? And then right after that is Forbidden Door. Right? So NXT's Great American Bash and Forbidden Door are going to be neck to neck, while Slammiversary actually happens at 1 p.m. today and such. So lots of wrestling happening and such. And they also said that for Slammiversary, there's going to be a former Intercontinental Champion. They said a former WWE Intercontinental Champion making his debut for TNA. And the first person I thought about was Uha Nation, a.k.a. Apollo Crews. So I would not be shocked if we see Apollo Crews there. Because think about it, a lot of the people from the cuts, like their 90 days is getting ready to be up. You know what I mean? A lot of them. A whole lot. Shit, I just seen Joe Gacy. He had a crazy vignette or a crazy video. You know what I mean? From when he was Huskus the pig. I mean, they showed something that looked like the Wyatt, the Wyatt family Firefly Funhouse. You know what I mean? And it was basically Huskus the pig, but with a mask on. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So the 90 days is definitely going to be up for some people, or maybe a little earlier. Who knows? You know what I mean? Maybe, who knows? No matter if it's going to be up. It's definitely going to be up. But I gotta mention this because this, pro wrestling is very, very interesting outside the ring. You know what I mean? It's very, like, when it comes down to professional wrestling, the main shit outside the ring is it's more entertaining. No matter if it's dirt sheets or if it's, or stories and such. But this one right here was fucking crazy. And I seen this, and I was like, what the fuck? Yo, CM Punk is something else. You know what I mean? CM Punk. So there was a clip that flew around on Friday, right? And I didn't think it would make traction, but it actually made traction, so much so that both Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer actually responded to it, right? So CM Punk did, it was a clip flown around where CM Punk did an interview with somebody, right? I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Shannon Sharp or whatnot. I got to go back and look. Oh, no, I think it was Chad Ochocinco. I think it was Chad Ochocinco. And he stated something about a show that he did with Chris Jericho, right? It was a WWE live event that happened in 2012 in Brazil, where CM Punk was WWE champion, and he faced off against Chris Jericho, right? And they got the videos on. I'm going to post the video in the description. They got the full match. The full match is on thing. Right? I'm going to definitely post it. So CM Punk mentioned that, Chris Jericho. There was a part in the match where Chris Jericho kicked the Brazilian flag, right? And after that, he claimed that, these are all claims. He claimed that a whole bunch of men in army fatigue clothing, right, surrounded the ring with machine guns. You know what I mean? And they had to end the match quickly. You know what I mean? He said, Punk said that he tried to pin Jericho's shoulders down to the mat. You know what I mean? But Jericho didn't want to, he didn't want to he didn't want to, you know, he didn't want to do business. Like, fuck that, right? So he had to force his shoulder out the mat, and he got the fuck out of there, right? Now you would think that story would, you know, that story alone would, you know, would be like, oh my goodness, oh man, oh, you okay, Punk? I'm glad that, you know, you guys don't go to Brazil and stuff. Oh man, you know, we're scared to go to Brazil, you know. Except one little itty bitty story, like one little itty bitty part of the story, right? Just one little part. That never happened. That never happened. It makes for good, you know, for a good visual, but that never happened. Cause the match itself, and they, like I said, they got the match, right? It seems like CM Punk is starting to turn to Hulk Hogan. I hope that's not the case, but a lot of wrestlers do that. A lot of pro wrestlers do that shit. A lot. Now, I mean, so it's not only Hogan. It's a whole bunch that, you know, that make up these stories, and, you know, they start to question, like, what the fuck? So what happened during the match? Now, the flag kicking did happen, right? It did happen. I mean, look, Chris Jericho's a heel, right? So he had to do something to get heat on him, right? But there was no men surrounding the ring. There was none of that, right? There was none of that shit. It was a standard match. You know, it was a standard match for the fans, right? Punk pinned them, 1, 2, 3, and that was it, right? But the thing was that Jericho had to come out later and apologize for the flag kicking and the Brazilian flag kicking, and then you seen Punk celebrating with the fans after the match. You know what I mean? Like, these stories are bugged the fuck out, yo. Like, pro wrestling stories are just crazy. Outside the ring, they're fucking insane because, you know, you never know. Honestly, you never ever know, like, the intensity of what of how, you know, how these wrestlers say these stories and such. I don't know I honestly don't know what the fuck Punk was thinking when he said it, when he seen, like, you know, got, you know, people with machine guns all around the ring. You know what I mean? I don't know. I honestly don't I don't know if he was dreaming or he probably was trolling. He probably was trolling, because a lot of wrestlers, they like to troll. You know what I mean? A lot of wrestlers, they like to work, you know, they like to work and stuff, right? Unless there's something I didn't fucking see. You know, if you go down the description of the match, right, you see the full fucking match. None of that happened. Like, there was no machine guns around the ring. You know what I mean? There was none of that. He said that, he also said, and I forgot to mention this, he also said that he had a machine gun pointed to him, right? That never happened. Because if that was the case, right, that would have had traction a long time ago. In 2012, that would have, you know, shit, that would have, you know, like I said, that definitely would have made news at the time. You know what I mean? That clearly would have made fucking news. But none of that happened. And yes, the video, you know, the video was recorded on a fucking potato. Because look at the technology of the fucking video at the time, right? Just look at the shit. But if you go back and look at that match, right? Like I said, it was a decent match. You know, it was a standard match for 2012. I mean, both of them did their thing. But like I said, none of that shit that he said happened. Come on. A machine gun to his face. You know, they surrounded the ring. Come on. You know. And not only that, but also, you don't think WWE security would have got involved? You don't think they would have got involved? You know what I mean? Now, I would say this, right? Like, the one thing that would have been believable is if, let's say this match would have happened in North Korea, right? Let's say North Korea. Then I could believe that. Now, because North Korea, we know, is a communist country, and, you know, it's more than fucking strict, right? But in Brazil, come on, B. Come on, like, who are you fooling, man? I mean, I don't know if the WWE went back to Brazil or not. I'm not sure. They might have. But to sit there and say that there were people with army fatigue who had machine guns after kicking the flag. That's crazy. That's fucking nuts, right? I don't know, man. That's a crazy story to hear. Like I said, I love Punk. I think Punk is one of my favorite wrestlers, period, right? But to sit there and, and exaggerate a story like that, I mean, come on, bro. We're knowing that there's footage out there and such, right? But out of all people, it comes from Punk. You know what I mean? Out of all people, right? But just think about this for a minute, right? Just think about this, right? If a country, if a country was able to dictate, I gotta sneeze, hold on. Oh, damn, fuck. If a country was able to dictate entertainment, right, the world would be fucked up. The world would be completely fucked up. Because think about this, right? Pro wrestling is a scripted sport, but it's entertainment, right? So to come out and say, oh, well, there's gonna be guns out and such, from the military there, so we fuck everything up. Nah, that's not happening. You know what I mean? That's definitely not happening. But it's funny because that actually make for a good, for a good portion of a movie. That would actually be a good portion of a fucking movie where, people come in and there's machine guns around. I don't know, man. I love Punk, but that story was crazy, yo. Anyway, guys, I'm about to be out. You know what I mean? So I definitely will be coming with another discussion video tonight. So I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.